Let's kick off. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Diaspo times the Big Curry Night In. It's my absolute pleasure to introduce you to Atul Kochhar, who's doing a one-off special. I'm just letting a few more people in.
Yeah.
Why are you putting
Just locking it and then trying to keep it away so that we don't.
Okay, so I think we're good to start. So welcome to Diaspo, everybody. Online cooking classes with the generation that knows best. And today we're very lucky to have a one-off special in support of the Big Curry Night In for the British Asian Trust, where all proceeds will go to support families in South Asia hard hit by COVID-19. A few best practices. I know there's some people who are very familiar with Diaspo, but also some people who are very new. So I'll just run through the best practices, house rules, to make sure that we all have the best experience. Please keep your video on and ideally positioned where we can see what you're doing. That way, Atul can best teach and interact with you and make sure that your chicken is looking the way it's supposed to look. Please keep yourself on mute when you're not talking, just to avoid the background noise, the pots and pans smashing together as always. And lastly, we're very lucky to have a very small, intimate group. So please feel free to interrupt and ask any questions you have, whether it's the step Atul might have just taken or one of his many stories. If you don't want to ask out loud, feel free to put it in the chat and I'll ask on your behalf. That's enough from me, everybody. Enjoy. Please tag us when you're cooking along on Instagram at Join Diaspo and the Big Curry Night in UK. And over to you, Atul.
Right. Well, good morning or good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me. I was really privileged when I was asked by British Asian Trust to come in and show my support. Not that I wouldn't, but just being asked was just quite an honor. And thank you to all of you for coming along to cook with me and also support the great cause. We all know that the whole world is suffering, but Southeast Asia, because of its economic conditions, is suffering more harshly and unfairly than anywhere else in the world. And to make matter worse, adding insult to the injury, the cyclone isn't helping either. So there are lots of reasons why we should be doing this, and it's kind of, it takes away every thought of mine, to be honest, whenever I do such things for the people who are going through hardship. So really, thank you so much. And as you know, British Asian Trust is quite active in Southeast Asian region. Lifting people out of poverty is at the heart of values of British Asian Trust. And Prince Charles, who's the head of the trust, has always been passionate about that region and wants to make sure that people are looked after in a much better way through the limited resources we have. So whatever you are giving, it goes a very long way for us. So we are really, really grateful. Right, so without further ado, I'll crack on with the recipe. So this recipe is Murg Lahori. My father was born in Pakistan, a place called Gujarat, not very far from Lahore. And in his heart, he always, till the time he lived, he never believed that there was partition. He said, it's only political borders, but hearts of the people are same, and we still love each other. It's sad that this thing happened, but nobody can take that away that I was born there. And I learned this recipe from him. So when I wrote this book, I dedicated this recipe to my father because it's truly his recipe. So I'll take you through the ingredients. It's a very Punjabi style food. So I'm gonna just flick my camera down so that you guys can see my ingredients. And I'll bring it closer to the camera. So what I have here is black cardamom, the green cardamom. I have opened them up so that with the pressure of oil, they don't open and splatter up. Bay leaf and black pepper. I have used a little bit of black pepper. I think in the recipe, black pepper wasn't there. And if you want to use it, use it. If you don't want to, it's absolutely fine. Cumin, and that's it. And then, I've got some chilies. I've kept some lime with me. Chicken, boneless chicken thighs. I've used British brown onions, chopped them. And then tomatoes are, in my recipe, it says chopped, but what I did, I just pureed it. So it doesn't matter. It just puree is just another texture, to be honest. And ginger garlic paste. So I'll be very honest that you could buy it if you want to these days, but you can make it. And the way I make it, or Mrs. K makes it, is half ginger, half garlic, and pureed. I think every household would know how to make ginger garlic. So I'll start with adding oil to my pan. So I'm using vegetable oil. I am fond of either sunflower oil or rapeseed oil. So this one is sunflower oil.
We have a question from Andrew who says, with the cardamom, should we crush them open or cut them open?
Crush them open. Just in a mortar pestle, just bang it with the pestle so it just opens up. And idea is that, the moment you add it in the oil, because of the hot oil, it expands and it tries to explode and it might just scald you. So that's why I just advise. And also that way all the seeds are open and they kind of get diffused in the oil much better, releasing the flavor. It's a lot easier way of adding spices. And I always add the cardamom first, because you need the good cardamom oil, and that becomes the carrier of the flavor. Oil becomes the carrier of the flavor. And once you can feel that, excuse me, the cardamom is actually releasing the flavor, you can just immediately get the waft of aroma coming through the pan. From that time, you could add the cumin and the bay leaf, and if you're using the black pepper as well.
Sorry, so how much cumin are you using?
I'm using one teaspoon now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so once the cumin has also started crackling, it releases the flavor. The oil has to be hot. It's very important that for the spices to release flavor, the oil needs to be hot. Otherwise, in the cold oil, you will not get the flavors easily. So it's incredibly important that you do that. Okay, then add the onions. And I have kept the heat of my induction to medium to high. So just a little bit high, more than medium. Now, onion cooking is incredibly important to understand that how onions are cooked, because that's the core of Southeast Asian food, in my opinion. While we not use onion all the time, and the certain parts of the country wouldn't use onion, or part of the continent wouldn't use onion, but I would say good 90% is actually based on onions. So we saute onions till they are translucent to get the sauces which are lighter in character. The korma would be a very good example of that. We saute the onions till they're light brown in color to get either yellow or red color sauces. And I think this particular curry, and even if I may say that mighty chicken tikka masala, would be a good example of that. And then when you saute the onions till they're deep brown in color, with the help of dark colored spices and garam masala and tomato paste, you achieve sauces like Rogan Josh and Vindaloo. But if you don't color your onions to the right degree, your result will be very different, and you may not get the desired taste and the flavor as well. So it's incredibly important to understand how far to cook your onions. So hence I say that if you want to cook Indian food, you got to know your onions. Right, and I always like to add a pinch of salt. So, it's always to taste, in my opinion. And I would only add about 1/4 of a teaspoon at this stage, and then I'll correct it later. And what salt does, it draws the moisture out of the onions and helps them cook in a good time. Are you folks doing okay with me?
Yeah, all good here.
All good.
We're doing the onion to translucent in this case.
Yes, little more than translucent, I would say.
Hello. Okay. With the black peppercorns, do you crush
Mhm.
those as well, or do you just add them?
I kept them whole. I kept them whole.
Okay. And what quantity would you need?
I used only about 4 numbers.
Okay.
If you haven't,
Yeah.
sorry, if you haven't got the black cardamom, how many green ones can I use?
You can use 6 of them.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. So I was just going to ask first, hope you all are safe and your families are safe wherever you are and staying happy and healthy. And gardening a lot, I hope, because that's what I got the time for this year. I'm just going to flick the camera back on me while this cooks so that I can talk to you guys. I'm not a very big gardener, but this year I got my hands dirty because I had plenty of time. So I started growing. I've grown some leeks, onion, potatoes. Just planted some tomatoes as well. Radish, it's absolutely ready. I need to take them out of the ground. The strawberry is just coming out like crazy at the moment. And I'm planning to put some more brassica in the ground this hopefully coming week. So yeah, never thought that I could grow things so well, and it's looking good. I hope you guys are doing something similar, because I got sick of watching Netflix. I couldn't bear it anymore, so I had to get out.
Hello.
You said something? I missed out. Harish, somebody was trying to reach me?
Yeah. I was saying I can't get my strawberries to grow, and you have abundance of them.
Why is it because you got a lot of squirrels in your garden?
No, I have a lot of wildlife, but not squirrels.
Okay, so maybe change the spot next year.
Yeah, I've now taken them out the ground and put it into a large pot. My garden, it might work that way.
Yeah, it does actually. And sometimes the soil gets tired growing the same thing again. So I do that. I kind of take them across the plot. So wherever I'm growing brassicas this year, I'll be growing something else. So yeah, you have to think of nitrogen-rich crops. I'm not an expert, but just whatever I have read and learned from my gardener friends. So nitrogen-rich crops should be taken into patches which are not that healthy. And then next season they become incredibly healthy. So I've been trying to kind of what they call cross rotating the crops. I think that's what you should do.
Okay, thank you.
And I learned something new about myself, that I have patience to be in the garden. I always thought that I'm not the gardening person, but now I know I can stay there for long hours. Right, I'm gonna flick it back.
Can we get
what's supposed to be in the pan? Is the bay leaf in the pan yet?
Yes, bay leaf. All the whole spices had gone in the pan. If you have not added the bay leaf, add it now.
Okay, thank you.
Can we get a thumbs up to make sure that we're all on track? Great. Lots
Fantastic.
of thumbs up.
Keep the heat to medium high, guys. And now is the time it's slightly started getting from translucent to brown, and we will get active with our ginger garlic paste. The next thing would be ginger garlic paste.
So did you say all spices are in now?
All the whole spices are in. So I added cumin, cinnamon, no, not cinnamon, sorry, beg your pardon. Cardamoms went in first, then cumin went in, bay leaf and black pepper.
Okay, thanks.
And I hope I didn't throw anybody out by using black pepper. It was just a very last minute decision. I quite like black pepper, and I thought, okay, it's not part of my dad's recipe, but I will use it. Okay, I think onions are looking good. We can do a little bit more brown. Are you guys, is your onion looking closer to mine? Everybody okay? Harish?
Yeah. We have Tanya and Marie showing us theirs.
Yeah, I think a little bit more, guys. Let's go a little bit more. I would like it to be slightly more than that.
Sam.
Yeah, more cooking, please. More browning.
Venetia.
Yeah, we need more cooking there. So keep the heat to a little above medium, but not way too high. A little above medium, because when you cook onions at very high heat, they tend to burn before they caramelize, and that's what you don't want. Okay. So I got 10 points on my induction, so I'm cooking between 7 and 8 at the moment. So it's medium to high.
And why do only the whole spices go in first and then the
Say again?
Why do only whole spices go in at the start?
So you know, there are powdered spices and the whole spices. So when we start with the oil, we add the whole spices. Every whole spice like cumin, cardamom, bay leaf, black pepper, they have an essential oil in it. And as a cook, your job is to extract that essential oil into the cooking oil. And then cooking oil gets dispersed throughout the curry, carrying that flavor. And then when you saute onions and ginger garlic, you're building another layer of flavor. And then when you add the powdered spices, that's the time you are actually kind of creating another layer, stroke the body to the dish. So because of the texture of the spices also, you're adding the body, okay? So onion and tomatoes do give the body to the sauce, no doubt about it, but spices help in a big way, especially coriander.
Interesting, thank you.
Okay, so my onions are, take it closer. Okay, so it's looking light brown in color, and I want your onions to be at that stage. So if everybody gives me thumbs up, then only I'll go forward. And if you are still lagging behind, I'm happy to wait. No hurry.
Atul, is it okay to use red onions? Is that okay, or does it have to be white?
Look, it's okay to use. You know, when I came to the UK, I was quite confused looking at yellow onion, white onion, brown onion, pink onion, red onions, and then finally I found out after years of cooking that British brown onion works best with Indian food. Nothing wrong with any of those onions. Okay, they are much better flavor builder, and they are available year round, and they're solid onions. So I quite enjoy cooking with them. So that's why I always recommend British brown onions, but red onions are equally good. So don't worry about it.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Atul.
Yeah.
I haven't managed to get boneless chicken thighs. I've got chicken thighs with the bone in. Will that be a problem? Fine. Okay.
No, not at all. Not at all. I actually had chicken thighs on the bone, and I made it boneless. Just hoping that you all will be having boneless, and it didn't want to throw you guys. If I had known some of you have kept on bone, I would have kept my bones in as well, because I love having chicken on the bone. Any meat on the bone is much better for me.
Okay.
Much better flavor. Much better flavor.
Hi, this is a question. What is the weight of the chicken approximately?
Say again.
How much is the chicken weight?
It cut off a bit, but Vikas has asked, what's the approximate weight of the chicken? Is that
about 400 grams, 400 grams to half a kilo, I would say. So the recipe is geared for 4 people. So I've taken 100 grams. So you can take 100 to 120 grams each, because don't forget there is sauce as well. So when you cut out a portion, it comes out to be about 180 to 200 grams per person, and that's the way we calculate. So, but if you prefer to eat slightly bigger portion, then you can use 200 gram of meat per person. But entirely your call. I prefer to keep it to 100, 120, no more. Are we good with the onions, guys? Harish, can I quickly look at everyone's pan so that we can move forward?
Yes. So let's go. So Sam.
Yeah, looking good.
This is looking good.
Yeah. Perfect.
Anya.
Yeah, that's close. Can do a little bit more sorting, I would say.
So Jeet.
Yeah, Jeet, you got a lot of onions getting stuck to the bottom. So what I would recommend is just add a tablespoon of water. So scrape all the brown part away, okay?
Because
it's too much light. I can't see it clearly, guys.
otherwise, guys, thumbs up if you're good. Ashley, Andrew, Amrita, Simi, yeah.
All good?
I think we're good. Andrew's showing us his.
Yeah, good. Fantastic. So let's go with ginger garlic paste next, okay? And that goes in straight in here. And the moment you add ginger garlic paste, when you start sauteing it, it will start catching the bottom of the pan. That's a very common phenomenon. You can lower the heat if that starts happening, and you can add just a blob of water just to discourage its burning. Okay, so this is good. Smell is amazing. If you guys, the moment you add ginger garlic paste, there's a waft of raw ginger garlic comes through in terms of aroma. And then as you saute it through, you will feel that that caramelized ginger flavor starts coming to the pan, and that's the very right stage to add the next ingredients. So you can add the chicken now.
Atul, do we chop the chicken up or do we put the thighs in?
I had kept chicken into about 1.5 inch pieces, yeah. And I'm going to slow right down, guys, so that you guys can catch up. I don't want to be way ahead of you. Idea is to seal the chicken though, ASAP. That's very important. So what that does, basically, when you seal the chicken, it holds the juices in and makes the product really succulent and juicy. If you cook it at lower heat, all the water from the chicken or the juices from the chicken will leach out, and you don't want that because that will evaporate, and you want to kind of trap it inside the chicken, inside its fiber. How are we doing with the chicken, guys? Have you added chicken already in the pan?
Not quite yet, just cutting it
Not quite yet. Okay.
Not quite yet.
Okay. Okay. I'll wait. Don't worry. No rush.
So Atul, which are your other popular dishes?
Which are my other popular dishes?
Yeah.
Other than my children.
Yeah.
I'm fan of I think it's like anybody else. Your mood changes from time to time, and these days I'm a big fan of vegetarian food. So while I'm cooking chicken, I'm promoting vegetarianism, not that, but just saying that this is my personal preference at the moment. So anything vegetarian, so I'm trying lots of new combinations at the moment.
Yeah, because I'm vegetarian, so I like to try different vegetables.
Okay.
Yeah.
And which is your favorite vegetable?
That's just it. I'm looking for a new taste. I'm a bit fed up of aloo gobi and bhindi and aloo.
So I'm actually about to write. I've just been commissioned a new book called Curries, Vegetarian Curries of the World.
Yeah.
So it will come out hopefully next year now. So I have started experimenting, and other day I made a recipe with artichokes, the globe artichokes.
Oh, okay.
And what I did, I took the whole artichoke, and you know, I've seen lots of chefs, what they would do, they would cut the leaves from the top, just keep the choke. And then I think there is so much texture and structure to the beautiful leaves around it. You've got to be able to use it. So on the top of the artichoke is quite spiky. So I cut that and then I keep the whole artichoke and I blanched it with some spices, and I used the similar spices, cinnamon, cardamom, clove, bay leaf. So there was a beautiful flavor in the artichoke. And then I made a sauce with tomatoes and garlic, and I used crushed coriander, garlic, and chili in there. And then I kind of, once the artichokes were nicely cooked in the sauce, then I poured lots of sauce over it, and I finished it in the oven. The whole dish was just amazing. I could eat the whole artichoke. The leaves also just was delicious. So
Yeah, that's
it's
very
actually
interesting.
Yeah, so you know, I experiment with it with different things, and it works out well. So guys, if your pan gets like that, the way it is mine, I've kept some water here, and I will just add a little bit of water and scrape the bottom of the pan so that I can pick up all those flavors back into the dish I'm cooking. Okay, so these are really lovely flavors. You don't want to lose them to the pan. Okay, so you want to scrape them off and bring them back into the chicken or the onions. And once, if your chicken is looking the way it is mine, I'll add the green chilies now. And I've taken, instead of 4, I've taken 2 green chilies. So feel free to do that, because I'm not a big fan of very hot food. I like the flavor, but not too much of heat. And I've cut them into half. Being messy today.
So if you were doing this at a restaurant, how much would you prep beforehand, and then how much would you do to order?
In the restaurant, this would be almost 3/4 cooked and then finished as per order. So chicken is not completely cooked. So you know, halfway through we will add the spices and finish the sauce and keep it ready. And as and when the order comes, we finish it with the finishing spices like garam masala, and maybe if you want to add a little bit of kasuri methi as well in there. So can I quickly look at the chicken, guys, so that we can move to the next step?
Yes, let's start with Sam.
Okay, looking good as mine.
Tanya.
Can you take it a little bit more cooking required, I think, in your chicken?
Amandan.
Yeah, that's looking good. It's opaque and good.
Simi.
Yeah, fantastic.
Sojit.
Yeah, that's good too. Okay, we're back on my pan.
Show off their chicken.
Okay, shall we add the powdered spices now, guys? Good to add?
Can we get a thumbs up if we're good to add the powdered spices? Yeah.
Good.
Andrew.
Still pink.
Again?
Andrew has a question about his chicken.
Yes, Andrew, tell me.
Is that okay? Or
is it looking pink, Andrew?
it's not pink. Should I keep?
Can you bring it closer to the camera, or take the camera closer to the pan?
We'll just a bit. Yeah, perfect.
I think you just need to cook a little bit more, Andrew, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, I'll just start adding the spices now, but I'll wait for you to finish it, so don't worry. So according to the recipe, if you had 400 to 500 grams chicken, we'd add about 2 tablespoons of coriander powder. So I've used 4 teaspoons, guys. And red chili powder, it says 2 teaspoons, but please use sparingly. I'm going, entirely your call. Again, as I said, I'm not a big fan of very hot food, so I'm adding only 1 teaspoon. And I will also add a teaspoon of turmeric. And top up salt, to taste. Salt has to be always by taste. There's no chef in the world would say that add that much salt. We should not say that, in my opinion. And then mix it all together. And I'm just going to lower the heat completely to wait for you guys to catch up with me, please.
Could you just repeat the spices you've added now, please?
I have added coriander powder, which was 2 tablespoons. I added 1 teaspoon of red chili powder and 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder. And if you like turmeric to be less, the recipe says half a teaspoon. So you can add half a teaspoon. I'm a fan of turmeric, so I overdo it sometimes. But I love the flavor and the taste of it.
This might be a stupid question, but I'm just curious. Does the order in which you add the spices matter significantly, or is it irrelevant?
In this particular recipe, it doesn't, because we are cooking quite quickly. But in some recipes, it does. So especially something like coriander powder, if you were using cumin powder, that matters a lot, because that sometimes can become a flavor builder. So there is a recipe from Gujarat called dhania chicken, in which they use coriander and saute the coriander quite a lot to get that kind of roasted coriander flavor coming through. Very important. But in this recipe, it actually doesn't matter that much. So meanwhile, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to keep my yogurt ready. So taking about 2 tablespoons and just either whisk it or just with a spoon so that it just becomes uniform. And keep it aside. You're not going to add it yet, but keep it ready. How are we doing, folks? We're good? Has everybody got the spices in now?
Yeah, all good.
All good? So we can add the tomatoes if you've got the spices in.
So
okay, I'm just adding.
Be on now?
Yeah.
What heat should we, what heat should we be on?
Medium. Keep it at medium. Okay.
Is that by Vikas?
Say again.
Of tomato.
Your voice is cutting up. I'm so sorry.
How much tomatoes by cup?
I think the question from Vikas is, Vikas, otherwise, if you don't mind typing it in the chat if I'm wrong, but the quantity of tomatoes.
So I use 3 medium tomatoes, and I put them in a blender. You can chop them if you want to, but I was running short of time, so I just put them in the blender. But putting in the blender is also fine.
Thank you.
And we have a question from Venetia about the yogurt. Do you mind just clarifying what you did with the yogurt, please?
So I have got natural set yogurt at home, and the brand Mrs. K brings is Onken. So I just took 2 tablespoons and a little bit more, 2.5 tablespoons, and I whisked it together. Nothing added to that. It's just plain yogurt. Okay. I just kind of, you can use the whisk or the spoon to beat it to make it a uniform mixture.
Atul, are we putting anything in the yogurt, or is it simply just plain yogurt?
Simply, just plain yogurt. Plain yogurt. You're not adding anything yet.
Great, thanks.
And sorry, have we added the tomatoes yet? Or those...
Yes, we have added the tomatoes. and keep it to medium so that it starts simmering. Now, if chicken loses some of its juices, it's absolutely fine. It's losing it in the sauce and it will not get evaporated, okay?
I can see a few phones out, so make sure you do tag Join Diaspo and Big Curry Night in UK and show off to all your friends that you're doing this intimate and interactive class with Atul.
So guys, I reached out to Harish yesterday and said, like, because we had very little time to do this fundraising, so I've committed to him, we'll do one or two more. We haven't come up with a date, but I think somewhere in third week of June. So Harish will definitely reach out to you and let you know. So if you wish to join us again to cook along, you're more than welcome. All the proceeds will go to British Asian Trust, although it's after the event, but money will still continue to go to the right cause. How many of you have eaten in my restaurants, guys? Have some of you been to my restaurant? I see a few hands.
Yeah, we have. I went to Benares a few years back.
Okay, so I've left Benares, guys. I've left Benares in 2018, and I set up a new restaurant in Mayfair, not very far away from Benares. It's close to Oxford Circus Station now. It's called Kanishka.
I went with my siblings for my birthday last year.
Okay, so you got to come and check us out in Kanishka now. And then if you're outside London, then I have a few restaurants outside London, one in Marlow called Sindhu. We are opening another one after, it should have been opened by now, another restaurant in Marlow, but because of COVID-19, we stopped the opening and we'll open it whenever it's allowed to open now. It will be called Vasu, which will be North Indian food. Sindhu is a South Indian cuisine. And then I have a restaurant in Emersham called Hawkins, which is 16th century inn. So it's a beautiful building. It's a 45-bedroom hotel with us. And we manage the F&B there. So my restaurant is called Hawkins because we want to do a little bit of British food in the pub, in the bar, and proper Indian food in the dining room. So you can come and check us out there too if you wish to. And then there's Indian Essence in Bromley, in Petswood.
Yeah, sounds good. I think we'll definitely check them out as soon as lockdown's over.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Hey
guys, if you... Sorry, Harish, you were saying?
No, it wasn't me. Someone else was about to ask a question. Or Linny?
Are we asking if they don't do takeaway?
So at the moment, we are doing takeaways from Kanishka, Hawkins, and Indian Essence. We haven't opened Sindhu and Vasu yet.
Perfect. We'll get involved.
Cool. Thank you. So, keep an eye on your chicken. That it should, in my opinion, chicken should be perfectly cooked. Overcooked chicken also doesn't taste nice. While it's important to cook the chicken really well, never overcook the chicken as well, because if it gets overcooked and stringy, then it's almost, I call it dead protein, and it's not doing any good in nutrition to you, to be honest. So in between, just make sure you poke your spatula or the spoon, cooking spoon, just to see that how easily it goes through. And if it splits up and you can see it's kind of white inside, then it's perfectly cooked, okay? Like mine is almost cooked. So I'll just give another few minutes before I add other things. I'm gonna slow down the heat. Is everybody with me?
Yeah, can we get a thumbs up if we're all on track?
Can we get thumbs up if your chicken is almost close to mine? Fantastic. Okay, so now is the stage where we can go and add the garam masala. So in the recipe, I have recommended 1 teaspoon of garam masala, and I'm going to use 1 teaspoon. And I will also add the yogurt with that.
Atul, we have a question from Venetia who wants to check if the fresh coriander should be in already.
Not yet. Not yet. And if you want to make this curry a lot thinner, then you can add the stock or the water if you want to. Or if you prefer to be at this stage, you can keep it at this stage. I prefer to keep it like that because I want to eat it with the roti. But if you want to eat it with rice, you can add a little bit of water to this. I'll bring it to simmer.
This is Vikas. Do the tomato have to be a puree or can a little chunky?
It can be chunky, no problem, Vikas.
Thank you.
So the original Lahori curry, chicken curry, cuts the tomatoes in actually quarters, and they like to keep it chunky. I got busy in a Zoom call and I was rushing to get my mise en place done, so I pureed it. Okay, is your chicken looking similar to mine, guys? Yeah, it's looking good. Whoa, that's delicious. Have you guys tasted in between? Have you tasted your spices and is everything okay? Is the balance good? I always recommend to taste when the chicken, once chicken is cooked, always go reach out and taste it. Oh. Fantastic. I think my chicken is looking good and tasting nice, guys. So I'm off cleaning duties today. So that's for sure. I hope it's same for you. Right. So I've reached where I should add the chopped coriander. And in the recipe, it doesn't say lime or lemon juice, but I always find adding a little bit of acid in any curry, especially curries like this, it just brings the balance back. Okay. So the moment, before you reach out for any correction, if you feel that the salt was less, don't reach out for salt, add a little bit of lemon or lime juice and then taste it. And you will often find that taste is actually amazing after adding that acid and you don't need to reach out for salt. So I'm a big advocate that there should be a balance of acid and the salt in the food and less salt is much better. Okay. So I'm using lime. I'm a fan of lime. You could use lemon if you wish to, but lime and chicken works incredibly well.
How do you think about balance in terms of texture as well as flavor?
In this one, the sauce should be nice and smooth with a little bit of chunkiness coming from tomatoes and onions. But the yogurt should give a nice texture. And the chicken, obviously chicken gives the body to it. But in terms of spiciness, I would say it should be medium, not very hot. Should you wish hot, then you can add lots of chopped chilies, okay? And I'll reach out for chopped coriander, that goes in.
And then in general, in general for other dishes, how do you think about balance of texture?
It has to be, everything has to be in a harmony. If If it's a very tough meat, let's for example, you're cooking something and it's quite a thicker piece of meat, and you give a very thin sauce with that, so that's not a texture. It's a problem. So you need to balance it. The sauce needs to be able to mask and coat the meat properly. And in terms of flavor, the flavor of the meat and if you're using spices, then spicing have to be in a harmony. The whole thing, the mouthfeel is the main test for what you're asking, the real question. Does the sauce blends with the main ingredient, i.e. meat or even vegetable in this case? And if it doesn't, then you feel that something was missing. So I think there's a massive correlation between the thickness of the main ingredient and also the cooking matters quite a lot. Whether especially if you're a meat eater, then you know what I mean. And the sauce. So thick and thin sauce actually plays a major role in deciding the dish. So that's why if you see that East Indian curries, especially the fish curries, they're very thin sauces, and they work incredibly well because fish has got such a gentle texture. Try that very thin curry with lamb and you will be very disappointed, or goat. So that's why sauces are often kept thicker with chicken and lamb. And I'm talking in a generic term, but there might be exceptions as well. Okay, I've added the coriander and love spring onion. So I have spring onion in my garden, so I'm using that, not showing off, guys. But if you have it, you can. It adds another fold of flavor. And I'm going to switch off the heat completely. And when I presented that picture, I had some dried rose petals. So I've sprinkled that. I don't have that today. So I'm just going to keep it like that. Are you guys closer to mine? Can I have a look in the pans, please?
Yeah, looks pretty good.
Yeah, looking good. If you wish to add a little bit of water or stock, you can. This is looking good as mine. Yeah, that's looking fantastic. Very good. Can I see your pan again, please? Yeah, that's looking good. Yeah, that's looking good.
And that's mine.
Fantastic. Oh, wow, that's looking good too.
We're back to you now, Sunit. Sorry, can you just show us again, please?
Sorry?
Yeah, that's looking good. Fantastic. And who was the vegetarian person? Are you cooking chicken or you were using some vegetable instead?
No, I'm cooking chicken because my family eat chicken, but I'm vegetarian. I eat fish, so I may try this with fish.
So if you're trying with fish, this recipe would hold really good. And the fish I would recommend to go with would be monkfish, because it's quite meaty and it'll work incredibly well. Something like sea bass will also work, but remember, sea bass has a lot more gentle texture.
Okay.
Okay. Right.
I just want to say to cook with you. I'm such a big fan of yours, and I'm so delighted to have your recipe. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
No, thank you so much for joining us for this wonderful cause. On the behalf of British Asian Trust, I'm totally grateful to you guys. And I know my team at British Asian Trust, they are watching, and they're really grateful on behalf of the entire trust and HRH Prince Charles.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Do we have any final questions about the dish or for Atul? For those that do, just a last bit on the British Asian Trust, and those who do want to donate more or really enjoy the experience, please just type in Big Curry Night In and do send us all your photos. But now's a chance to ask Team Quinn.
Hi there. Hi, Atul. Thank you so much. I am also vegetarian, and I was wondering, would you be able to make something like this using maybe a paneer or something, so that I can try it?
You can easily work with paneer, no doubt about it. But I would recommend a butternut squash would be amazing. Mushrooms, if you like mushrooms, the shiitake mushroom would be fantastic. Anything that has got a little bit of body, that vegetable will work incredibly well. And if you are a fan of British vegetables, I have tried this recipe with celeriac. It works really well.
Wonderful, thank you.
Atul, thank you so much. I think this is the best thing I've ever cooked myself. I was just wondering if you had any secret tips on how to cook the best rice to go with this curry.
Okay, so the rice, there are two ways to make the rice. We Indians use boiled rice, or I should say we subcontinental people, either boiled rice or pulao rice. Those are the two types of rice we make. So for boiled rice, the ratio I use, one rice. So if it was 100 grams of rice, I'll take 1 liter of water. So I'll wash and soak the rice for 15-20 minutes. Bring the water to boil, add a pinch of salt, and drain the rice, and then add into the boiling water. Takes about 15 minutes, 12 to 15 minutes, depending on the quantity of rice. So if you're cooking for 4 people, I take 50 gram rice per person. That's my ratio. It'll take about 12 to 15 minutes, and then drain the rice. So you drain the rice at a stage when it's slightly more than Italian al dente, okay? You know what Italian al dente is in terms of pasta. So rice should be a little bit more than that. You drain it and then keep it covered with once all the water is gone in the strainer, put a lid on or put the foil on and give another 5 minutes, rice will be perfectly cooked. So what happens sometimes, we take the rice out of the water when it's actually cooked, and then it stands there for another 2-3 minutes and it gets overcooked and the rice becomes lumpy as well sometimes. So to avoid that, just take it out a little bit before, because heat stays with the rice and keeps cooking the rice. So remember that, and when you do that, your rice will be perfect. You know, each and every grain will come apart when you throw it, just a lump of it on the table. Each and every grain will just fall apart, which is the best way to cook rice. And then for pulao rice, I start with butter or ghee and oil mixture. So I often do ghee and oil mixture, and saute whole spices, pretty much similar to what I used in this: cinnamon, cardamom, clove, bay leaf. And as they splutter, I would have washed and soaked the rice, and then add the rice first, and then let the rice kind of soak in all the oil and the flavor as well. And then if it was 1 rice, 2 water. So twice the quantity of the rice, I would add water. So 100 gram rice, 200 ml of water. And then bring the water to boil and keep it on boiling until the time you see that the level of the water would be quite higher than rice, no doubt about it. But when you can see the level of the rice coming and the water is receding, that time turn the heat right down to the slowest setting possible on your hob, and put a wet cloth or wet towel on top, but a clean one, please, and put the lid on and let it cook for 5 to 7 minutes, I would say. And then you can remove that towel off, and then with the help of a fork, you can open up the rice. It would be perfectly cooked. Don't forget to season your pulao rice. You need to add a pinch of salt to it. I prefer not to add salt in my boiled rice because I like to keep it plain. And my personal preference is to eat boiled rice with curries rather than pulao rice, because pulao rice is more of an occasion thing. It's more of a celebratory thing rather than everyday thing. And pulao rice has a lot of spicy flavor, but if you're having a spicy curry and have spicy rice, it doesn't sound right to me. So I always reach out for steamed rice or the boiled rice, because it can absorb a lot more flavor and gives you a perfect enjoyment of the curry you have cooked.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Okay. No problem.
Atul, you said that this was your father's favorite recipe.
Yes.
What significance did the older adults in your life have on teaching you how to cook, your parents or grandparents?
So my grandfather from my mom's father was a baker when he migrated from Pakistan to India, and he set up his shop. That time World War II had broken out, and in East India, in a place called Jamshedpur, where I was born, my mom's family had moved there just before the war because they were summoned by British to come and help them to feed the troops. So that's why he had to move on the orders. And then my father, not chef by profession, but he trained as an engineer, and then later gave up his engineering career and became a chef, self-taught cook. And he ran small catering businesses all his life. So these two men had a profound impact on me growing up. My mother was a great cook. I had 4 older sisters. So whenever people ask me who all were there in family, I always say 1 father and 5 mothers, because my 4 sisters were like mothers to me. Everybody was trying to teach me something, which was a great upbringing in my opinion. So I landed up the richest in terms of knowledge that way. And I think having a family which was foodie and people who kind of cooked all day and tried to outdo each other had a fantastic influence on me.
Amazing, thank you. So we'll do 2 last things before we finish. We'd love to see all your chickens, so please show us on the screen. But before we do so, let's all give Atul a big round of applause and thank you, please.
No, thank you guys. Thank you. And thank you for helping British Asian Trust. I'm ever so grateful. Really, thank you. And I'll flick the camera back and do hope to see you all one day. Stay happy, stay healthy, and look after yourselves. Thank you.
And stay tuned for the next session that Diaspo and Atul do for the big curry nut in. So let's go and see all your chicken. Sam?
Perfect. Looks good.
Sajit?
Yep.
Quinn?
That looks yummy. That's great.
Tanya?
Fantastic.
Ashley?
Beautiful.
Amandan?
Yep. Beautiful.
Vikas?
It looks very good. Great.
Simi?
Some chopped coriander and that's it. Yeah, that's looking fantastic. Lovely color.
Denisha?
Yum. Good.
Amazing.
Well done, people. Thank you so much to you all. And I look forward to see you again. Just before you go, I just wanted to say, because I spotted that, so I'll just say that now. The English garden bay, or bay leaf, English garden bay leaf, the fresh one, is not the bay leaf we Indians use. We use dried bay leaf. So next time when you're cooking Indian food, just buy that and use that bay leaf. You will see there is a massive difference in flavor, to be honest, because the bay leaf which we use is the leaf of the same tree where we get the cassia from. So it's a cassia tree leaf, to be honest. So, and the flavor works well. Nothing wrong with English bay. I use it as well. I've got 3 trees in my garden. But just to get the real authentic and good flavor, use the Indian bay.
I'm sorry. Is it still called bay? Is it still called bay leaf in the Indian shop?
Yeah, it's called bay leaf only. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Right, folks. Have a good one,
Perfect.
and I'll see you all soon. Thank you. Have a good weekend. What's left of it.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.